I'm going to have you choose either a letter or a number. You can choose 2 letters or 2 numbers from this picture on the screen here.
Okay.
And behind each letter and number is a piece of content that we're going to watch together. So let's start off with you choosing just a letter and a number.
All right, 22.
22?
Yeah.
And then one more.
I'm going to go with X.
If you are a Christian, you need to stop practicing this immediately and ask God for repentance. Number one, we have to understand a little bit about the basics of Hinduism, which yoga is rooted in. And that is that the universe and everything in it is God. This is what they believe. In other words, God is an impersonal force that makes up everything in existence. There is no difference between creature and creator, as both are one. Everything is a part of an inexpressible, unknowable force, which they call Brahman. This is where so many people are saying that, you take back your power, or they themselves are gods, or they are self-healing, right? These are the terms and things that a lot are associated with yoga, even to the point of making it scientific and sound medical, right? Each move is specifically designed for you to become one with Brahman, the universe, which is a demon.
So I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock. Here is the assignment that you have from this video. After listening to the video, I want you to identify at least 2 questions, quality questions, that you would have for the creator. And the creator is the person who is presenting their message in the video. And then 2 additional questions that you would have for the audience watching with us today. 1 minute on the clock, 2 quality questions for the creator and 2 quality questions for the audience watching with us.
Okay, so the first one is evidence about the universe being a demon. I'd like more information on that, especially, in the book of Genesis is all about God creating the universe. So my other question as a Christian is if Christ is within us, and when you look at the evidence of the Holy Trinity, we are parts of God, and how is that in ignorance to anything that, it's actually overlaps more with the Hindu beliefs than it does separate us. So I think it's all based upon what mindset you're coming from and how you're looking at it. Because Christ died for our sins, we take communion for Christ to be within us. So those would be my questions for the creator. For the audience, I would say, how valid did you feel her information was and why?
Did you have one more question, or was that the 2 questions?
No, that was 2 questions. I ducked out on that one.
Oh, that was sneaky, Tiffany. All right, so here's our next one. And this will be the last one before I let you go.
Our clip of Candace Owens getting owned at one of her debates, because it illustrates how the violent and hateful transphobia from conservatives is built off of ignorance, white supremacy, and historical revisionism.
But I think can you explain to me what Two-Spirit is in the history?
I'm telling you that not only in one Native American tribe, but in multiple tribes, there were dozens of terms that referred to people that would now be considered trans, and that was hundreds of years ago. So I'm just wondering why you think that people are only trans now because the media is telling them to be.
Well, I told you, because of the proliferation. So you can't just go from having 0% to suddenly 25% of people.
But what I'm saying is that these people were around for thousands of years.
Well, what you're saying is that some Native American tribes had people that would be considered trans today, something that we can't fact check because they're dead.
It's historical knowledge.
It's historical knowledge that there were trans Native Americans.
Yes.
I really don't think that's historical knowledge, but here's what I'll answer. I don't think that there were trans Native Americans.
So if you could educate yourself a little more, you would know that.
Okay. I will educate myself.
And to be clear, Candace Owens is completely wrong. Two-Spirit refers to individuals who neither identified as men nor women since pre-colonial times in North America, and their existence is very well documented. On top of that, Native Americans are not all dead, and many today identify as Two-Spirit. Now, it's important to know that conservatism thrives on rhetorical attacks against aspects of society that are deemed new or recent, and also romanticizes aspects of society that are older or more traditional. As a clear example, Make America Great Again was the slogan for both Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan because it romanticizes the idea of upholding a set of traditional values from the past. But just to be clear, there's no inherent logic to this worldview, which is why conservatives were the champions of conserving things like slavery and Jim Crow. But that being said, it's clear that the same tactic is being used by conservatives to demonize queer and specifically trans people by attaching trans identity to some sort of recent media agenda or new social contagion. This hateful line of thinking is what has exacerbated discrimination against LGBTQ+ individuals and drove the brutal assault of a Native American teenager named Next Benedict, which led to their death. And may Next Benedict rest in power. But perhaps the worst irony behind all of this is that it's based on historical revisionism and lies. Even when engaging with the conservative worldview, it's clear that many homophobic and transphobic people are completely ignorant of the history of these identities. People that would now be considered trans or queer have existed across the world and throughout time. In India, third gender individuals or hijras have been documented in Hindu holy texts for over 2,000 years and were revered and respected in their society, including by rulers from other religions, specifically Islam. In some of the oldest societies of the world made up of the Aboriginal peoples of Australia, there are sister girls and brother boys who represent ideas of gender that are even hard to conceptualize with the limited Western perspective on the man-woman binary. And last but not least, yes, Africa is a continent full of examples of civilizations that included people that did not exist within the man-woman binary, including the Mudoko Dako of modern-day Uganda and the Jinbanda of Central Africa, but there are so many more examples. In fact, PBS has a map detailing much of the gender diversity that exists across the world, showing that no, queer and trans identities existing is nothing new. But what is more recent, however, is the transphobia and homophobia brought forth by colonization and imperialism that demonize and criminalize these identities. And what I find incredibly sad is that because historical revisionism and fundamentalism are so prevalent in colonial societies like the United States, some people who are woke on other issues actually believe that being trans is something new or some sort of novel deviation from the norm. The conservative superintendent of Nexus District in Oklahoma illustrates a perspective that many people have when he says, "There's not multiple genders, there's two. That's how God created us." The left is undermining the very principles that made this country great, our Judeo-Christian values and our traditions in this country. And even though he declares himself a lover of history, it's clear that the superintendent only knows history through a lens of white supremacy and Christian hegemony. Like Candace Owens, he must be completely ignorant of the vast gender diversity that exists and has existed across the world. Otherwise, he would realize that this statement is just not based in any actual human history. The only credit I'll give him is that there is a clear analog between the work that he's doing and the work of the founders of this country. Because just as they sought to violently erase the cultural heritage of the peoples they subjugated, conservatives today are continuing to suppress and demonize identities that were openly expressed across many of our ancestors before colonization. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments and follow for more.
Some people have very strong presence and they're really good communicators, and they have a lot of sources that they study to help them with their argument, where some people are passionate, they have some type of feeling that it's wrong, but they don't know how to communicate it as effectively, so they don't really have that skill to really come across as if they are not people.
Right. So they just don't articulate the sources. So he was very specific in talking about specific tribes and specific things, you know, and that would curb that. I mean, that's part of, in politics, when they start getting things, it's gaslighting, basically, you know, to create an emotional reaction, create emotional response in order, you know, we saw Hitler do it by the choice of words that you use, like make America great again. That's assuming that it isn't already a great nation. So is it creating more division or is it creating more unity?
That is the golden question. All right, so 1 minute on the clock. You're going to close this out with this assignment. So after watching the clip we just watched, I need you to identify a personal policy inspired by the content shared. This personal policy could be for you, it could be for people watching, it could be for either one of the creators mentioned in the video. But if you choose someone outside of yourself, share a little bit of why you believe this personal policy is connected to the content that we just watched. So for example, a personal policy could be based on the interaction that we had in this clip. We need to learn how to quote our sources. It's a policy for us to always quote our sources whenever we get into conflict with other people. So just being creative about a policy that you would create that's been inspired by whatever we wrote. 1 minute on the clock. Start it now.
Based upon this clip, the initial clip showed how the energy, the communication diminished and the conflict and the energy rose. But when you went to the content creator and he was able to excite resources and communicate effectively, he was able to really defend certain opinions because of the way that his communication style would have affected that conflict.
And so how would you name your personal policy? What is the personal policy itself?
To come with receipts, man.
There we go. And just in time. Well, I appreciate you sharing your time with me. I had so much fun. And I will be sharing with the audience how people can connect with you at the end of this video. So if you enjoyed this session that we had with Tiffany, we have a video where she answered one of our 15-minute questions. Thank you so much, Tiffany. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of your night.
Yes, you too. Enjoy.
Explore a new perspective with Tiffany at Get Perspective Counseling and Coaching. Offering services tailored for personal growth, family dynamics, and professional development, Tiffany is here to support your unique journey. Whether you're facing challenges or seeking to improve your life, discover how her expertise can assist you. Visit getperspectivecc.com to learn more about the available services and start your path to personal fulfillment. All right, thank you all for playing another Earth Experiences game with me. Until next time, hold on to you as much as you can. Hold on to your health, your being, and your mind. Be mindful. Bye.